If you ever wondered what it's like living in Port St. Lucie, Florida, if you're thinking about moving to Port St. Lucie, Florida, if that's the case, then this video is for you. My name is Ray Fernandez. I'm with Living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Realty. Welcome. If this is your first time to our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button there over in the corner. While you're at it, ring that bell. What that'll do is that'll help notify you every time we put out a new video. We put out new videos every single week. So if you're wondering what it's like to eat, sleep, and drink in this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, this channel is for you. 16 years ago, my family and I relocated to here, Palm Beach, Florida, and sunny South Florida, and we haven't looked back. Today, we truly find honored to help people, perhaps like you, do exactly the same thing. So if you're thinking about moving to here in South Florida, and you want some advice, you want some guidance as to what's involved, well, there's a few ways to get a hold of us and our team. Down below is our email address. That's one great way. Also on the screen, you see our phone number. You can either call or text that number. Two of the best ways are in the description and in the comments section. There's a link. Click on that link. What that'll do is that'll set up some time for us to speak either through a phone call or through a Zoom, whatever way you feel most comfortable. In any case, we have your back when it comes to relocating to here to sunny South Florida. We've helped so many people relocate to here in Florida, and we absolutely love it. In recent days, we have seen so many people ask questions about what's involved in Port St. Lucie. I mean, so much so that we decided we wanted to make a video about it. There's several reasons for these trends, but suffice it to say, there are a lot of people examining and exploring the possibility of moving and living to Port St. Lucie, Florida. Port St. Lucie has seen some tremendous growth, especially in the last couple of years. And there's a few reasons for it. First off, the pricing. If you compare the prices in the Port St. Lucie area to some of the pricing in South Florida, like the typical South Florida. When I say South Florida, I'm talking about counties of Miami-Dade. I'm talking about Broward County, where you find Fort Lauderdale. I'm talking about Palm Beach. On a map, if you look at a map, and we're going to go to the map later, Port St. Lucie is about an hour north of like downtown West Palm Beach, so it's not very close. But as prices have risen in the south, the core of South Florida, people have said, you know, heck with this, pricing-wise, let's move to Port St. Lucie. And the truth is, I'll show you a couple of charts. I'm a chart guy. For those who don't know, I'm a former Wall Street trader, and I worked for a bank. I traded stocks on behalf of the bank. And one of the tools we used were charts to determine trends. So if you look at the chart of the prices in the last year or so of Palm Beach versus Port St. Lucie is a little bit behind. But today we are seeing that catch up as more and more people find that is a great place to live just north of what they call South Florida. One of the tremendous pieces of growth is in new construction, and our team loves new construction. We are a new home co-broker, which means that we have great relationships with the builders, and that's really important. If you're looking to move to this area and you're working with a realtor, you need to have someone who understands what's important to the builders, because that's how you can navigate and leverage the biggest advantage for yourself. Don't go to a new construction site on your own. More on that later. But we have seen tremendous growth in the new construction arena of the Port St. Lucie area. If you want access to all new construction on a website, our company's website, we have a great new construction website. If you want to search just new construction in the area, reach out to our team and we'll happily send that to you. So the trends are this. If you live, let's say, in Chicago, New York, Boston, or anywhere else outside of South Florida, and you're comparing pricing on Palm Beach and Broward and Miami, to Port St. Lucie, you find it's a lot more affordable. So people who have let's say they can't stretch their budget more than a certain amount, they're looking at Port St. Lucie. The other element are people who have enjoyed a significant increase in their home values in recent years. And let's face it, this area in South Florida has risen in pricing like the rest of the country, but more here in South Florida than any place in the world. Maybe not the world, I don't know about the world, but definitely in the United States. So those people who are cashing out, they have cash out or are considering cashing out in Miami-Dade and Broward, and they're looking to move to Port St. Lucie. One really big element of this we've noticed, there is a tremendous 55 and older community in Port St. Lucie. More on that later. So if you have a home in Miami-Dade and you've made significant money on it, you could sell it, and that's what people are doing, sell it, and then buy your house in Port St. Lucie for a fraction of the price and probably get a bigger home as well. So those are the trends. People are going to Port St. Lucie because of outside areas and the pricing. And people from South Florida, we've noticed now, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach are now also moving to Port St. Lucie, making for an extreme amount of growth in this area. So location is a factor here when considering Port St. Lucie. And now again, I'm going to go to the map a little bit later. But what's good about it is it's like not halfway, but certainly closer to Miami than Orlando. But it is fairly close to both Miami and Orlando. One of the cons when it comes to relocating to Port St. Lucie, Florida is, just like our cons video, we like to show both sides. What we find that people who don't like to move to Port St. Lucie is they find it maybe too far away from Miami, Florida. It is a bit of a distance, and if you're okay, with a 2-hour ride to get to Miami for Port St. Lucie, which a lot of people are, especially if you're retiring, but not necessarily. If you are okay with a 2-hour ride to Miami, then Port St. Lucie is great. If you're not, and you want easy access because you work there per se, then Port St. Lucie is not for you. Another con that people might say about Port St. Lucie is there's no real downtown area. What you'll find is, there's not like this downtown Port St. Lucie. It is an expanding area, and it's not like an older area, like let's say like a Miami or a Tampa or a Jacksonville. So you're missing that sort of downtown Port St. Lucie feel. But there is a nightlife. People might say there's no nightlife. That's not true. As the area is growing, there's more and more development. There is the Traditions Village, which is also, I'll show you that on a map. That is, it's an area where people congregate. There's a lot of growth in places such as Port St. Lucie West and some new areas. So to be honest with you, having done this myself, we moved here to central, a developing area in central Palm Beach, and when it was not really that developed, it is exciting to see this kind of growth. So if you're into watching an area grow, well then Port St. Lucie is a place I would definitely consider. One of the pros when it comes to moving to Port St. Lucie, Florida is the traffic is a lot better. So if you look at the areas of South Florida, Palm Beach, just to their south, traffic is getting to be, as people are moving there, getting to be a bit of a problem. The people in government are building new roads, alleviating some of the pressure, but suffice it to say, in Port St. Lucie, the problems are not as great as they are there. So one of the pros when it comes to moving to Port St. Lucie, Florida is the traffic is getting better. It is good, and is certainly a lot better than the parts in deep South Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to relocating to, I gotta do a pros and cons video. This is not a pros and cons video of Port St. Lucie, but I gotta do one. One of the pros when it comes to moving to Port St. Lucie, Florida is the insurance, your homeowner's insurance situation is a lot better than what you find in South Florida. As you might or might not know or heard, we have issues down here in Florida with the cost of homeowners insurance. And the primary reason for that is hurricanes. We work closely with people in the insurance industry, and we know the trends and what's going on there. If you live in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, there are issues with carriers. There are a lot of, if you have an older home in particular, they are sending you to what they call Citizens, which is a insurer of last resort. If you have new construction, there's less of an issue. Reach out to our team on that, because we do a lot of new construction. There's some big benefit when it comes to insurance with new construction. But when it comes to Port St. Lucie area and insurance and homeowners insurance, it is not as bad. It is not considered, from the insurance perspective, from the insurance carrier's perspective, it is not considered South Florida. And that is a good thing, because what that means is your premiums in general are lower. So there are not as, your premiums are more controlled or a bit lower when it comes to homeowners insurance in the Port St. Lucie area. Now, when it comes to new construction in Port St. Lucie, well, it's a mecca. Port St. Lucie is a mecca of new construction today. Here we are at the end of 2022. There are several new construction communities going in there. I mean, I can't keep up. I can't keep up. I really can. We have great relationship with all the builders. They let us know as things progress. In fact, I'll go a step further. Some of our relationships here in Palm Beach, in terms of new construction, our consultants that we work closely with, as they sell out the communities here in Palm Beach, they are being transferred to more northern places. That's where the growth is. So you'll have people that will be working out of places such as, central Palm Beach are now being relocated, especially the ones that live in between, like Jupiter as an example. They are being transferred up into Port St. Lucie because the growth there for new construction is intense. I have to say this. If you go to visit a new construction sales site, it is important to get independent representation. I've said this a million times on videos. We, as an example, living in Palm Beach, Florida, our team, we can help represent you. But the important factor is when you go there for the first time to these sales sites, you need to bring your realtor with you. If you do not bring a realtor with you on your first visit, chances are down the line, they will not allow you to have independent representation. And what we do is we help represent you, and we will be there throughout the journey from visiting the first time to contract to the inspections until you close. Cost out of pocket when it comes to having us represent you as a realtor team is nothing out of your pocket. It is the builder who pays us, and they are happy to do so because they want us to introduce people, perhaps exactly like you, relocate to this beautiful part of the world and their communities in South Florida. Reach out to our team if you want to know more about what independent representation means. I would be remiss if I did not mention this in specific new construction site. It's one of the best, in my opinion, 55 and older communities. We have some great ones in Palm Beach. Two in particular who I've mentioned on this channel. I like Regency a lot in Avenir. I like Crestwind a lot in Westlake. But so if you're okay going a little bit further north, Riverland is like the Disneyland when it comes to 55 and older communities. They have several sub communities in Riverland. Currently, they're working on Valencia Walk. As they sell out, they move on to the next one. There's one or two new ones that they have yet to release. They have their sales models at Valencia K. That was one of their first communities. But they are building new models in Valencia Walk now. And so anyways, it is one of the, it is a huge area that is but bought out by GL Homes, which is one of the best builders. I really like them a lot. If you are into active lifestyle, there's just a ton to do. If you want to live your life like there's 7 Saturdays a week, I would definitely check out Riverland in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Riverland is very golf cart friendly. You can literally get out of your home, go into your garage, take your golf cart and go everywhere. You can go from community to community. With all the communities that they have there, you're gonna have friends in other communities. It'll be easy to get. They have trails specifically for your golf cart. It's like a mecca. It's like its own little world, and you can go from community to community. You can go shopping. You can go to the town centers from your golf cart. They make it real easy to get around through your golf cart, so you can avoid you getting into your car and living life in an elaborate golf cart style community. And it's not just Riverland. There are some great other great new construction communities for all ages as well. There's a new Toll Brothers, who's one of my favorite builders, coming into town. I've done videos on Veranda Gardens. There's Heron Bay. There's a lot of new construction. Reach out to our team if you want to know what those are about. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want a link to see all the new construction, email us or text me or whatever. Email us and we'll send you the link to check out all these new construction communities. One of the cool things about South Florida is if you are a baseball fan, this is one of the best places to live. We have become sort of like a mecca for spring training. So in the month of March, there will be people that come down here from all across the country who are big baseball fans, and they will travel their favorite team from city to city and place to place. In Port St. Lucie, it is the home of the New York Mets. So if you like spring training, and I do, it's in a relaxing environment to watch baseball. Where games don't count, which makes it even better in my opinion. My family, we used to go every year. We haven't gone in recent years, but we would sit in the outfield and just shag fly balls. It's pretty cool. It's not just there. In West Palm Beach, they have the home of the Astros, the now world champion Houston Astros, the Washington Nationals. There's in Jupiter, there's the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. So this area has become a mecca when it comes to baseball spring training. So a couple of the areas before I go to the map, a couple of areas I want to discuss with you real quick. Some of the big areas are out west, right? So there's Port St. Lucie West, which is the builders. What they do is, because the cheapest and most available land is to the west. That's where they choose to develop. There's a place called Tradition. Tradition's been around for since the beginning of the century. I think it was 2002, something like that. I have to look that up, but they've been around a while. And what they're going to do is, it was bought out by Mattamy, which is one of the builders up there, up in Port St. Lucie. And what they're doing is they're building it in, and eventually in time, Tradition will likely be its own city, right adjacent to Port St. Lucie, Florida. So one of the best things I like to do, because I'm a visual person, and hopefully maybe you are too, is to look at this and explain things with the use of maps. So let's start with an overview of where we are here in South Florida and Port St. Lucie. So here's a map of South Florida. Miami to Port St. Lucie is about 113 miles. So it's not close, but yet far enough. What's good about Port St. Lucie, which is up here, is it's also fairly close to Orlando. So you're almost equidistant. You are about 125 miles from Orlando. So, if you have kids and we did the passes, the annual passes in Disney. It is a lot of fun. And so from Port St. Lucie, it's an easy ride. You're looking at an hour and a half, 2-hour ride into Orlando. Great to take advantage of that. In fact, Florida as a whole, I have to go do a segue into this. Florida as a whole, there is a lot to do here. You can go to the Keys, Key West, and Key Largo and Tampa and all that. There's just a lot to do here. So you could spend a ton of time vacationing just in your own state. So let's go into Port St. Lucie itself. There we go. So one of the things that people might say is that, well, we're not really near a beach. As you can tell, a large part of Port St. Lucie is really not on the water. But what you'll find is that people who take advantage of the beaches in this area, they go here, Jensen Beach. Jensen Beach is really, really nice. They have a lot of nice restaurants. You will find, if you're going out for a special occasion, you will probably find yourself going to here along this barrier island here. This is a big timeshare place. I have a partner who I'm speaking with currently about bringing over, that we're looking at exploring the Airbnbs on this. This is a good area for that kind of stuff. This is like vacation area, Hutchinson Island and so forth. Fort Pierce is nearby right here. So that's one of the bigger cities nearby. But again, Port St. Lucie, let's look a little bit closer. Jensen Beach is going to be your closest beach when it comes to Port St. Lucie. This is where, as I mentioned, this is where all the development is, the western part of Port St. Lucie. So I got to show this part because I spoke about it, and this is Port St. Lucie West. So in recent years, we've seen some tremendous growth out in this area. That's again where a lot of the new construction communities. One of the things you might notice, and I've definitely noticed, is when I looked at the map of Port St. Lucie, there's not a lot there, and the reason is all this stuff is really new. This is really more developed now than this map shows. It's because it's grown so much in recent years that it doesn't show everything here. Okay, moving down. I got to show this part because I spoke about it. Where are you? So, okay, so even here, Valencia K at Riverland. This is their first community. So you only show this. This is a lot more built out right now. They're currently working on Valencia Walk, as I've mentioned. So this area here is where all the Riverland is. This is looking, again, it's looking a lot more developed. You have Sportsman Park we saw here. They've changed the name of this place a bajillion times. Here you go. This is where the Mets play, where the New York Mets play. They've called it Clover Field. They've called it Tradition Field. They've called it everything. It depends on who for the highest bidder, I guess. That's why it's Clover Park. That's their sponsor. In any event, so this is Port St. Lucie. One of the great things about Port St. Lucie, from a travel perspective, is the turnpike comes through here, and 95 is pretty close too. So if you're going north to south in Port St. Lucie, it is really easy. It is really easy to go through. As I mentioned, the traffic is really not that bad in this area, especially when you look at the areas down here. So the other thing I need to mention is since we're on the map, is Stewart. Stewart is another it's like a fishing village. It's very artsy. So if you're into if you want to do like a little, go out to the local restaurants and so forth, Stewart. It's also a good place, by the way, to look at homes. It is one of those secret places that not a lot of people know about. And I did a video recently on the secret places, the secret suburbs of West Palm Beach. If I was to do a secret suburb video of Port St. Lucie, Stewart would probably be number one on the list. Hope Sound is down here, another great area. Phenomenal beaches here. So although you're not really close, one of the cons might be when it comes to Port St. Lucie is you're not that close to the beach. But I will say this: if you could tolerate 30-minute ride to get to the ocean, then Port St. Lucie is definitely worth considering. So before I let you go with the map, let me go over one of the areas I talked about, Tradition, just north of Riverland. In fact, they sort of border each other. Tradition is this area here. This is going to be its own city at some point. So there's Tradition Prep High School. There's the Tradition Village in this area. So this is going to be at some point, once they need to get a few more, some more things, whether it's hospitals, police stations and all that. Tradition will be its own city. It'll be adjacent to Riverland. It will be just in the Port St. Lucie area. But in a nutshell, this is a very fast growing area. And I think it's worth pointing out and considering moving to Port St. Lucie, Florida. Port St. Lucie, Florida. Now you know why Port St. Lucie is one of the fastest growing areas within the United States. Port St. Lucie, paradise here in South Florida.